Good morning. It is 7:35, and joining us in studio this morning, Mayor for the City of Roswell, Dennis Kintigh, back with us. Morning, sir.
Boy, I've been chasing myself this morning. I don't know why. We didn't go late, but I'm like, what the heck? I'm half an hour behind everything. I mean,
Did you have coffee this morning?
Well, I've only had 3.5 cups.
Is that your what's generally your operating capacity?
Probably 4.
4. So maybe that just get that other half a cup in. Maybe that'll.
But I didn't even finish the first burrito. So anyway,
well, you can keep going while we're talking. It don't bother me.
Well, it might bother them. My mother told me don't talk with your mouth full.
That's true. Yeah, that is something I learned myself too.
And we are on video, so what the. Okay, Mom.
I don't mind.
So somebody's been playing with your do job.
Yeah, we've got Tanner and Sean have been creating scenarios with the Sunnies.
All right. Moving right along.
So, for folks that don't know, last night was the city council meeting for the city of Roswell here. The mayor always joins us the morning of to give us a preview, and then the morning after to give us the Sports Center recap review of city council meeting. So,
morning after has an ominous tone.
It does have, those movie guys ruined it for the rest of us there.
Right.
But last night, now you said 3-hour meeting. So
yes.
As far as lengths, generally that's not a barn burner like some have been in the past. We'll call that an average length meeting.
That probably would be a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So a couple of key things we'll get right out of the chute. Counselor Foster was not with us because Counselor Foster actually had gallbladder surgery yesterday morning.
Oh, okay. So hopefully he's on the mend and doing okay.
Matter of fact, I texted him, and he was home yesterday.
Okay.
And he goes, I've been thinking about, just showing up and freaking everybody out. I said, don't you dare.
Hey, just to tell you, Counselor Foster, my wife had her gallbladder removed a couple years ago.
All right.
Something you're going to notice. Greasy food suddenly really not your friend. You might know, like if you get into maybe some fried chicken or something, your stomach gets upset. Once that gallbladder's gone, your greasy food tolerance goes way down. So
there you go.
Just an FYI on that one.
So Barry, the double cheeseburgers with bacon.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna have you're gonna eat broccoli.
Well, I mean, you're going to learn. I mean, you can eat it. You're just going to have to kind of eat and then figure out what your body can handle. But generally speaking, when my wife gets some greasy food or something now, it doesn't do well for her. So,
do you know that Bruce Lee had a brother? Brocco
Lee.
There are still some good parts to Facebook.
That is such a dad joke that I really like.
Yeah, I know. Rocco. Bruce Lee's brother. All right, moving along. And the other big news, and I shared this just now with you, at the end of the meeting, Councilor George Peterson announced that he was resigning. George Peterson had applied for a position with the city as a city employee, and our personnel rules prohibit sitting councilors or their immediate family, meaning spouses, from being city employees.
Okay. So by statute here, he needs to step down.
So he is stepping down. He submitted his letter.
Okay.
And his last official day will be the 21st. There will be maybe one committee meeting before then, but there won't be any more council meetings.
Okay. So now how the rule works is you'll appoint a commissioner, a counselor to fill that spot, and then of course, his position was up for election next year anyway, so this person will fill out the rest of this year, and then if so, can choose to run for the elected position or whoever here January 4th or whenever the declared date is.
And technically, I nominate because the council has to vote.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I don't have that much authority.
You nominate, and the council approves.
And the council approves.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Advise and consent.
Okay.
All right. And we had some presentation from Joe Nebb. It was actually very interesting. He talked about things that were going on. Our landfill got hammered with this rain, and the effort to build a new cell because of the current cell is filling up has been delayed, adversely impacted. Some people I saw this during the rains that we suspended drop-offs, and then we actually had some trucks get stuck in some of the alleys that had softer soil. It was a mess. And then part of the area out there, we couldn't get the trucks to drive on because the roads were, they're dirt.
Sure.
Well, long story short is they are getting, they came up with some ways to extend the life of the current cell by about 5 months, 5 to 7 months, which will give us the breathing space to get the next cell 5A, finished. The things you learn in Seagull. Anyway, so that was really the big
Mapped
thing.
out the trash.
Yeah, and the zoo pond is now expected to be done in October. It's taken longer than expected because we did it in-house a lot more than originally, but it saved a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So we will be looking at an October opening of the pond.
Okay, cool. Well, it's always good to do your own landscaping every once in a while there, and that's what we did.
So we jumped right into it. We had a couple public hearings on, when we talked about this yesterday, updating the building codes, and because if we don't do it, the state basically slaps us silly. And then we have to update the election code because the state, in its infinite wisdom, jacked with us a couple years ago. Am I really saying that with my outside voice? But this stuff we just whipped through. I mean, This was done 9-0 votes on those.
More housekeeping type stuff.
We had a award of an RFP to a consulting firm for the Air Center service.
Okay.
That was what really happens here is the matters presented to the council. Hey, we did an RFP, request for proposal. We got these submissions. The team evaluated them. Now, this is all very much controlled by state statute on procurement.
Okay.
This is a kind of a minefield you have to tread through very carefully. And our Lupita, our procurement officer, really is one of those that has to make sure things get done right. Anyway, long story. The council says, yes, Mr. City Manager, go negotiate the final contract with this outfit.
Gotcha.
And so that's what we
basically gives him permission to go ahead and finalize the deal, button up the things. Everything we see here, it looks like what we want. Go ahead and make it happen. That's in essence what happened last night.
Then we got onto some projects. One is a award of a contract to J&H Services to do the North Atkinson rehab. We also then, which I kind of chimed in, which I don't normally do, but I chimed in on this one. This one is another example of a project where we wish we had an eastern bypass because there's a later one in here where we're applying for money to do East College, because North Atkinson to College to Maine is the bypass, which isn't much of one, but it gets the crap kicked out of it. A lease for a bunker that sailed through. Dealing with disposal surplus property. We had a little explanation about that, so that one sailed through. Accepting a funding from the Water Trust Board to do the Edgewood area. We're going to be replacing water lines. So we're like working our way through all of this. We started about 6:30 after Mr. Nebb's presentation, so we're actually rocking and rolling. Very pleased. We more funding for pavement rehab. The trails. We're applying for grants to do work on the trails. These won't happen until next fiscal year, but that's okay.
Well, is this part of that plan to connect the two?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. There's two types of grants we had to apply for. One grant is to fix up the current trail. Another grant is to build a new trail.
Gotcha.
So then the new trail would be the connection between Spring River and Ciolo Grande.
Yes.
Now, what we had up, so people understand, this was just the application for the grant. It wasn't deciding the route the connecting trail would take. That will be determined in the future. But
that's
right
probably
now,
more committees and things that'll go and do their surveying and decide which is the best path to get there.
We're looking at almost $250,000 for a grant to do this. We're buying more tasers, modern tasers for the PD. The old ones are, we're not going to get into how old they are. A couple nominees to positions. Oh, this is interesting. I think we touched on this. City is working with the Roswell School District. Mm-hmm. We're going to run a water line. We talked about this yesterday.
Out to Brendo.
Mountain View.
Mountain View, thank you.
Yes, so we're running a water line out to Mountain View. And that's something that I was excited about. We talked with the school district now going back almost 3 years about this. And our position is, hey, you guys have had issues out there in our Brendo Middle, East Grand Plains, and Mountain View. Mm-hmm. We want to work with you, city. City wants to work with the school district, but we're not Santa Claus. So you guys find the funding. We'll make sure this happens.
Gotcha.
And that's basically what we got for Mountain View.
Because like you do your side, we'll do our side to bring it to you, and then we'll make it happen and get you back
reimburse us and
get you into the city system there.
Then we had an item which we really sent back to committee on the road repair list. Councilor Roebuck felt it wasn't quite ready. He had hoped to get this list finalized between the committee meeting and the city council meeting. Just didn't happen. Too many other things going on. I think the 4th of July just nailed everybody.
Sure.
So it's going back to committee to get that resolved. And when the objective here is hey, we're going to be working on these streets in the neighborhoods, in the arterials, and in the feeders.
Okay.
And those are the different kinds of roads. And so we know where, in what parts of the city we're going to be working. And the idea is to try to spread it out.
Sure.
So that every part gets dealt with fairly.
I know they have systems on how they do that, and I'm sure each, city or county or whatever has their own system on how they do it. But yeah, generally there's, it could be sometimes it's like a round clock thing. Okay, we're going to start this end and we work around, and by the time we get around again, it's time to start over and do. It's kind of a cycle, and some go that way, some it's a little different. But either way, it's all creating a system to try to kind of put the road maintenance on a schedule. So it's kind of by the time we're ready to be here, that's about the time it needs these upgrades and renovations and things like that. So it's, you can't nail it every time, but you try to kind of be ahead of the game. That's the goal of the folks that do the planning on this kind of stuff.
The last item was was a discussion on the scope of work for a new RFP to get on-call janitorial services. What do I mean? Well, we've done a couple others of these, like for roofing and plumbing.
Okay.
That if we needed someone to come out and do work on short notice, contract stuff, we have
like say the library has a water pipe burst or something like that.
And so we wanted to have pre-approved, and what we do is we go out and ask people to bid in on. Well, there was some pushback from Councilors Orpace and Peterson about this. They're kind of thinking, or it seems, I shouldn't say they're thinking. The concerns expressed were about, we should have more permanent employees. And that's not an unreasonable thing to talk about, but this is not intended to replace permanent employees. This is when we have a special event that we need additional over and above, so we don't have to force everybody to do overtime. Right now, we got people doing overtime, and that can burn up your people.
Well, and if you look at the current lay of the land right now, it's a job seekers market, what I mean? It's just everybody's short-staffed. So I understand what you're saying is we want to have more internal people, or some people feel that, and I get that, but even if you want it right now, you're not going to get it because that's just not the people there to have. So I understand that point, but you got to find the balance. Maybe down the road when jobs are plenty and people are plenty, then we can maybe talk about that. But right now is to meet the need. You gotta it's all hands on deck, or whatever options here work best, and contracting something like that's probably the more practical solution, I'm thinking, just because the lay of the land employment-wise.
Exactly. And so we've got, Mr. Nebb earlier said there were something like 69 open positions at the city. So Well, we had a long discussion about that one. I actually took about, oh my gosh, that took almost 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. But here it was, 7:51. We're done, right? No, no, we had a closed session and to talk about litigation, potential litigation. Can't talk about it.
Still
some
pending.
people some people are spun up about it. But what we did is we had a long hour type discussion with our attorneys on a couple issues. So you don't make decisions there. What it is, it's an opportunity to have candid conversations with attorneys about what's our legal options, what's our legal exposure, blah, 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 things like that. Because you don't want to give that away in a public meeting, because then the other side can say, well, we now know what they're...
Sure, you just put your whole battle plan on the...
You don't play poker with your cards face up, okay?
Exactly.
At least... Anyway.
Can't see Patton with his battle maps. He's McDonald's playing as a strategy. He's not going to do it in front of everybody.
So we were wrapping it up. Counselor Peterson made his announcement.
Okay.
And
so what's the timetable on that? Do you have X amount of days or weeks to submit somebody, and then the council will approve, or how does all that work?
I'm starting the process of identifying someone who's interested in it.
I guess the only requirement is they have to live in that ward.
They have to live in that ward. But here's the challenge, too. When the election would come up in March, once again, we have a new election, or election in March of 22, the ward could be radically different.
Oh, because of redistricting. And
exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of, shall we say, uncertainty about this. And that's going to impact people's decision. Ward 4 historically has been one of those wards that we don't tend to have a lot of interest in running for office. And it's...
4 and 5 are usually the two smaller turnouts when it comes to elections and things like that.
Yes. And so it's a tough one. That's one of the things I'm hoping when redistricting gets done right, that we increase the options for people to participate, because there's some good people all over this city.
Absolutely.
And we just want to make sure that those who really care and are interested and willing to commit are prepared to participate.
And I could be wrong on this, but generally those two wards cover most of the south end of town between those two wards. I think 3 or 2 kind of slips into some of that, but most of it's 3 or 4 and 5.
2's up north, 3's out west, roughly.
Yeah.
1's kind of in the center to the east. 4 is more on the southwest, and then 5 is the south.
Yeah.
Roughly. Those are rough terms.
Yeah. It gets a little convoluted when you get some...
It's like, okay, who drew this right?
But I make this comment for the fact that, look, this is our town, our community. I know everyone's got thoughts. I've seen them all over Facebook and everywhere else. This is the time. If you want to get involved in things, throw your hat into the ring on this stuff.
Yep.
Get involved in these committees. There's a ton of volunteer committees that the city, needs, and use that as your foot in the door if you want to. Serve on one of these committees. Get yourself familiar with the lay of how city government works and things, and then who knows? I mean, if you can get it done real quick, maybe this next election cycle you're running for election. But if not, this is how you get involved, and it starts by coming to a meeting or coming and learning about something here, and the only way we get these fixed is people get involved in making decisions and be a part of that process. So
it is.
I don't want to hear you complaining without you doing your part.
We changed the format a few months ago, and now what we have is committee reports, in that some things are brewing in committees that haven't come to the council yet. And last night was a perfect example, because Councilor Stubbs talked about what's going on in legal. There's been a group of counselors. It's her as chair of legal, Counselor Perry as chair of finance, and Counselor Best from public safety have been meeting with staff on the whole marijuana deal. And they will be having a legal committee meeting on the 16th, where they will be discussing proposed ordinance changes that would allow us to manage this very disturbing new thing in the state law called legalized, quote, marijuana.
Well, and they haven't figured out all the rules yet either up there.
No.
Which is part of the problem. No one can, until they figure it out, no one can kind of go move forward with whatever things they're going to put in place. And because, I mean, if you start yours and then you find out, well, we just violated what the state's doing, then we got to go back and redo it. So everyone's kind of in limbo here.
But we're going to move forward. We're going to do best we can. We got a great team working on it. The legal department, the community development director. What we're saying is we will have it on the 16th at the legal committee. We're having a special city council meeting on the 26th. That is for the final approval of the final budget.
Okay.
Because we have to get that up to DFA, Department of Finance and Administration, the state, by July 31st. Well, the challenge is we want to act upon these marijuana stuff before September 1.
Okay.
So we will, at the special session, do the authorization to advertise for a public hearing and vote on these ordinance changes in August, but we'll do it at the special.
Okay.
I will not be there. Actually, we had planned to do this special on the 22nd. We had it all set up, and my wife has suggested we do something called I'm not sure I can pronounce this correctly. Vacation.
I learned of this just a month ago, and I went, and it's when you go places and do things that aren't normally. Yeah, we went to the Grand Canyon, and
you actually left town.
We did,
and you didn't do like a remote show.
Like thieves in the night, we left. No, we had a great time. So where y'all headed? Anywhere exciting?
I'm not telling on the radio. You really think I'm going to give this away on the radio?
Well,
No.
Is it tropical?
No.
Okay. Is it family?
No.
Okay.
It's just me and her.
Okay. So
we're escaping.
So you're going to a destination location.
We're going to a destination.
Okay. Oh,
we're
enjoy.
Yeah, we intend to.
Does it involve a boat?
No. I'm not doing this. I'm not playing this game. We're not doing 20 questions. You'll win.
I know.
I mean, what the heck? So, this was actually a pretty interesting council meeting, and if would have been one I would encourage people to watch. We marched through a lot of stuff that is, in many ways, I would call it classic city government matters. We're talking about contracts. We're talking about requests for proposals. We're talking about making sure that the city continues to operate well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I tell people this is something that runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Never stops. During this whole COVID thing, we never shut down. We had some things that they were not publicly available, but those folks that worked in those areas either were keeping cleaned up or whatever, or they were detailed to other parts. And it's
well, a lot of the amenities the city provide, those are needed 24/7, 365. I mean, your toilets don't take a vacation to flush your these things that your roads and things when something emergency happens on them, they don't go away. The water main breaks. We got to get that fixed. We got it. So it doesn't matter if there's COVID or not COVID, or if it's Christmas, or if it's 2 degrees out or 102 degrees out. It doesn't matter. So. Absolutely. Well, as always, appreciate the visit. Of course, folks, you can always go back and check out things. If you want to go back and watch the city council meeting, you can go back to the city's website and check it out there too. So agendas and things. And then, of course, go to the city's website when we talk about some of these special meetings and seeing the agendas and what's on tap for those. You can go and see the previews at roswell-nm.gov. So don't forget about that too. So, very good. Is there anything we missed? Anything we want to make sure we get the?
I think we're good.
Awesome. Well, sir, enjoy. I guess I don't think I'll get to talk to you before you go to this alleged vacation.
We'll work something out.
So we'll chat. But have a safe trip. Have fun, and we'll see you here next time, if not sooner.
All right.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. We got to get you into news. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico. We'll be back